Breaking news tonight, we are staying on that historic SpaceX launch. But first, that huge parasite outbreak expanding across the country. The outbreak linked to iceberg lettuce, now in twice as many states. Which ones are affected and how to keep your family safe? Shocking confession with a stunning scene in court today. Disturbing audio of a school shooter describing what he did just minutes after his attack. Miracle rescue, how everybody on board this seaplane managed to survive a fiery crash in the Pacific Northwest. Our new reporting on the prison fight that sent Diddy to solitary confinement. The fireworks foul at a minor league baseball game as they're accidentally launched toward the stands. Look at that. The FDA clearing the way for several controversial peptides, but shooting down one treatment that's supposed to help with sleep. We ask a doctor why. LeBron James's game-changing move, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, taking his talents to Philly. The euphoria there and the new hope for the Sixers. Plus, an NBC News exclusive tonight, why the U.S. military is allowing some Iranian projectiles through its defenses. Top story starts right now. Hey there, I'm Hallie Jackson in for Tom tonight, and we begin with that massive parasite outbreak linked to lettuce, now spreading to more states with concerns this could expand even more. Right now, the CDC says at least 9 states have been affected, with cases reported in Illinois, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania. Those are the new ones, in addition to the other 5 states you see here. The CDC tells us more states could be added in the days ahead. The FDA said, remember, that shredded iceberg lettuce sourced from Taylor farm growers in Mexico is probably what's behind this parasitic bug, essentially, that's giving people major symptoms like explosive diarrhea. The company voluntarily recalling that lettuce here in the U.S. Some people who got sick reported they'd eaten Taco Bell back in June. Taco Bell has pulled its Taylor farm lettuce from the menu, too. But the big question tonight, where does this leave you with lettuce? Should you be eating it? Is the parasite more widespread than previously thought? Aaron McLaughlin starts us off tonight with the race to get this outbreak under control.
Tonight, investigators at the CDC adding 4 more states to the cyclospora outbreak linked to iceberg lettuce grown at Taylor Farms and served at Taco Bell, with newly confirmed cases in Illinois, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania, bringing the total number of states connected to that tainted lettuce to 9, and the number of states with cases, 41. Gwen Biggerstaff is a deputy director of the CDC.
Is it possible that more states will be added to this outbreak list?
It is possible.
The FDA says it traced the massive multi-state outbreak to shredded iceberg lettuce sourced from Taylor Farms growers in central Mexico after patients reported having eaten the lettuce at Taco Bell back in June. The nationwide chain pulled the ingredient from its menu ahead of the Taylor Farms voluntary recall.
Because of the lag for how long it takes to get sick, someone could have eaten these products before the recall.
Weeks into the outbreak, hospital systems now inundated with potential cases. 30-year-old Indiana resident Allie Renner has been in the hospital fighting the parasitic gut infection for a week.
We didn't think it was in our area yet. So that's what kind of took me for surprise.
She says she ate the lettuce, but not at Taco Bell.
It's like a stomach bug times 100.
Symptoms can last weeks if untreated. The outbreak is sparking a drop in demand at restaurant chains nationwide. Taco Bell among the hardest hit.
Aaron is joining us now. Okay, Aaron, so besides throwing away any of the recalled lettuce, what else should people be thinking about?
Well, experts say other lettuce, Hallie, should be safe. But if you are extra concerned about this situation, there are some things that you can do. For example, avoid bagged leafy lettuce. Focus on whole heads. Instead, eating just the interior leaves that have been washed. Also, the safest leaf is a cooked green. Hallie.
Okay, Aaron McLaughlin, thank you. To the dramatic moments now in a Georgia courtroom today. A 16-year-old pleading guilty to the 2024 school shooting that left two teachers and 2 students dead. Prosecutors playing audio of his confession just minutes after the attack. Aaron Gilchrist has that story with a warning that what you're about to hear is disturbing.
Nearly 2 years after the deadly shooting at Appalachian High School in Georgia, Colt Gray today foregoing a trial and pleading guilty to 55 counts, including murder for the 4 people he shot and killed.
Pleading guilty to each of the charges are in fact detrimental.
Prosecutors presenting testimony and evidence before recommending a sentence to the judge, including an audio recording of Gray,
At a moment the bathroom was like, we shouldn't do this.
For moments after the shooting, being questioned by police while still inside the school building.
You shot in the classroom? Yes, sir. You did? Yeah, I shot people in the hallway. And you shot people in the hallway too? Yes, sir.
Gray can be heard sobbing throughout the recording, confessing to the crime and talking about loving the school.
I love this school. I was never bullied.
But he also talked about planning the shooting and about having thoughts of suicide.
Oh my God. I'm fucking 14. What the am I doing? I was just horrible. I'm not trying to gain remorse at all. This is so horrible.
Earlier this year, Gray's father, Colin, was convicted of second-degree murder after giving his son a rifle despite warning signs of potential violence. During that trial, prosecutors played surveillance video of Colt from September 4th, 2024, from the moment he got on his school bus that morning with a wrapped rifle sticking out of his backpack. Cameras capturing him moving through the school day and capturing the shooting that killed 2 students and 2 teachers and injured 9 others.
I have lived 688 days so far. I was sentenced with no parole, and that is what he should receive as well.
Today, the mother and sisters of Mason Schermerhorn among nearly a dozen heartbreaking victim impact statements.
September 4th was not just the day I lost my brother. It was the day I lost the life that I knew before. It was the day my sense of safety, my ability to see the world the same, and the future I imagined with Mason in it were taken from me.
Aaron is joining us now, just so emotional all the way through. What about the sentencing for Gray? When are we going to know more about that?
Well, this sentencing hearing should last a couple of days next week as well. This is really the opportunity that the prosecutors and the defense have to present some evidence. The prosecution presenting aggravating evidence, the defense team wanting to present mitigating evidence, hoping to get the lesser of the potential sentences here. We know that Colt Gray could be sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole, or life in prison without the possibility. The judge is the one who makes that determination. And so all the evidence, all the witnesses that are being presented now by the prosecution and next week by the defense are really an effort to sway the judge's decision making on this. But Hallie, as you noted, those victim impact statements were just heartbreaking and difficult to watch and listen to earlier today. And the judge is taking all that information in as he eventually comes up to his decision.
We're glad to have you there covering all of it for us. Aaron, thank you very much. To an NBC News exclusive now, with attacks between the U.S. and Iran escalating. Some new reporting tonight about how the U.S. military has apparently chosen to let some Iranian missiles get past its defenses. And there's a reason behind that decision. Courtney Cuby scooped this reporting. She's joining us now. So talk about the reason, Court. Why are they picking and choosing what to shoot down?
Okay, Hallie, so 2 senior U.S. officials tell us that military commanders are allowing some of these Iranian missiles and attack drones to get through air defenses. And of course, it occurs amid an effort to preserve the Pentagon's shrinking supply of the missiles to shoot them down. Now, keep in mind, Iran has fired nearly 9,000 projectiles since the war began in February. And U.S. officials insist to us that they fire interceptors at anything that's on track to harm U.S. troops. But in some cases, missiles and drones that are bound for areas without any U.S. troops could be let through, even if they could inflict damage on base infrastructure. Now, this is the departure from the past. In the past, some of these air and missile defense troops and battalions, they would allow missiles and even drones to get through if it looked like they were going to splash down in an empty body of water or maybe hit an empty field. The difference here, Hallie, is that now we are seeing cases where the U.S. is allowing some of them to actually impact on base, in some cases damaging buildings. That's what's really different here. And of course, it comes because there are times where these interceptors, which are so precious, they need to be prioritized for some of the incoming missiles, these projectiles that could potentially hurt U.S. troops. And just to add another layer to how difficult the situation is, Hallie, keep in mind that sometimes when the U.S. does fire an interceptor and take out a missile or a drone, the debris that falls, that can actually still harm U.S. troops. It's a very difficult situation for the men and women who are out there on the front lines defending against these attacks.
Courtney Cuby with that new reporting for us tonight here in Washington. Court, thank you. Next up for us, some dramatic new video of a plane crashing off the Pacific Northwest, a seaplane with somehow everybody on board managing to escape alive. All of it captured on camera. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, this fiery plane crash in San Juan Islands outside Seattle, now under investigation by the NTSB.
Trauma, plane crash, respond to sheriff's boat.
It happened just after 5 Thursday night. The Coast Guard says the seaplane carrying 10 passengers and a pilot from Seattle to Roche Harbor, Washington, had to make an emergency landing. Witnesses in the area recorded the plane as it came in.
This is so cool. I can't believe he's doing this.
But the danger quickly became clear as the plane crashed into rocks off Susha Island.
Oh God, I hope he's okay. I gotta go out there.
Boaters nearby jumping in to help.
Just stay there.
You can see some of the passengers getting out of the plane as first responders, including the U.S. Coast Guard, rushed to the scene.
The seaplane itself was mostly entirely underwater by the time we got there.
Incredibly, authorities say all 11 people on board survived, some suffering head injuries and broken bones. One passenger is in critical condition. While the cause of the crash is still under investigation, Kenmore Air, which operates the plane, says there was a weather system in the area at the time, and the pilot adjusted the flight path due to that weather. Radar shows storms moving through.
It seems pretty amazing that everyone survived.
I would agree. Very much a lot of things went right for a lot of people in a lot of ways.
And Kenmore Air says 3 of the passengers remain in the hospital and that the company is fully cooperating with the investigation. Hallie.
Liz Kreutz, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Also tonight, tensions, of course, still high this evening in Madison, Wisconsin, after a deadly police shooting was captured on camera earlier this week. Police say Corey Ruiz was armed with a knife and hurt an officer during an altercation. Now, the family of Ruiz is speaking out, pushing for transparency in the investigation. Our Shaquille Brewster spoke with them.
Hallie, we learned so much more about Corey Ruiz, who was killed in this intersection on Wednesday afternoon. You see folks still here at this makeshift memorial. There's demonstrations that are happening regularly. Another demonstration for tonight for the 3rd consecutive day. But we also heard from his family today for the very first time since his killing. They described him as someone who was incredibly funny, who loved music, his sister calling him a poet. And they also acknowledge that this is someone who has had personal struggles. As we've reported, they talked about how this is someone who has had to deal with mental health challenges, who had to overcome substance abuse, and someone who has an extensive criminal record. But his message from the daughter, what we heard from his 13-year-old daughter who lives 2 blocks away from this intersection, it's a message that sticks out. Listen to what she said.
It just hurts so much knowing I can't see my father anymore. People, whoever is saying, oh, but he was a criminal. So what? He had a family. He had me.
Emotional comments in that press conference from the entire family. Meanwhile, an investigation is very much underway. It's being led by the state's Department of Justice. At this point, investigators have said that that shooting took place after the scuffle that you see on camera with officers. They say that Ruiz had a knife, that knife injured the officer who fired what appears to be those 3 shots. All of that will be part of the investigation. That report will be produced to a prosecuting attorney who will make a decision on possible charges. The message that you're hearing from protesters and from members of the public is that they want that investigation to be transparent and thorough as they call for accountability for Corey Ruiz. Hallie?
Shaq Brewster in Wisconsin, thank you. Here in Washington, a massive security footprint as President Trump attends the White House Correspondents' Dinner again after the original event was rescheduled after the assassination attempt against the president. Gabe Gutierrez is outside tonight's black tie dinner, and Gabe, security is looking a lot different from last time.
Well, Hallie, there are several new security measures in place for tonight's dinner, including what you see behind me. This road is closed. Pennsylvania Avenue shut down for an expanded security perimeter this time. And the venue is different this time around. Right behind me, the Waldorf Astoria, formerly the Trump International Hotel here in D.C. That hotel is where this dinner is being held. The Washington Hilton, where the dinner back in April was held, had been the site of the White House Correspondents Association dinner ever since 1972. They held it there each year. Now, among the extra security measures, in addition to the road closures, that expanded perimeter, also airport-style magnetometers inside the event. Also, guests will go through one controlled entry point, and they'll be required to present a QR code instead of paper tickets. Now, Hallie, this all comes as, President Trump is set to speak tonight. Other top members of his administration will be here as well. Who won't be here, Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Rubio, and the First Lady, not expected to attend tonight. Now, as for what the president's expected to say, that's a big question. He could always go off script. A senior White House official earlier this week had told me that he was likely to use many of the same jokes that had been written for the first speech that he did not give. And also, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told me that his remarks would be, quote, unifying yet vicious. Certainly a lot of unanswered questions about what he plans to say, given the fact that he has railed against the press over the last several months, including over the Iran war, the economy, and also issues of election integrity. But the president had said that he wanted to reschedule this event, and here we are tonight amid heightened security. Hallie?
Gabe Gutierrez here in Washington. Thank you. Turning now to that high-stakes SpaceX launch. Moments ago in Texas, take a look here. One of the world's most powerful rockets blasting off. And new video just in shows the fiery booster splashdown. All of it part of one of the initial phases of this historic launch. We got some live pictures of this Starship in flight. It's dark. It's a little hard to make out, but still interesting. Here to discuss, former NASA astronaut Jose Hernandez, friend of the show. Jose, glad to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Hallie. Happy to be here in this very a pretty good occasion, because it looks like all systems have been go for this launch.
Okay, so explain why that's so good for SpaceX, for the space community, et cetera, and sort of what we're seeing here tonight.
Well, it's good because Blue Origin last mission failed, and we want to go back to the moon in a year and a half or so. And this is the rocket that's going to help us to get there. We got to get a lunar lander out there so our astronauts can actually land on the surface of the moon. And this is the vehicle that will probably take it up there.
It's also like a bit of a nail biter. It always is anytime you're sending a machine blasting off into space, because the last time I think SpaceX tested this kind of rocket, it blew up, right? Like there's a lot of things that have to go right. And is it your sense that we're through the most critical part yet? Are they still, on pins and needles there at headquarters?
I think we're through the most critical part with respect to the design and final touches to the rocket design. Listen, hey, going to space is never trivial. It's complicated. It's very risky, and so people should not treat it as something that's routine, because it's not.
It's certainly not, because it's a huge deal whenever it happens. And this one's a particularly big deal, just generally, because the Starship we're looking at could be what brings the astronauts back to the moon someday. What's the timeline? I mean, we know that this is still years away, but it's not forever.
Yes, I think next year Artemis 4 is gonna stay in low Earth orbit, and they're gonna do some docking with the lunar landers. Hopefully Blue Origin has theirs ready. SpaceX certainly will have theirs ready. And then a year after that, year and a half after that, they're actually gonna go to the moon. Artemis 4 and a couple astronauts are gonna actually land on the surface of the moon and walk on the surface. We haven't been back there since I was 10 years old in 1972. I'm dating myself, but that's when the dream was conceived for me to become an astronaut, seeing Gene Cernan walk on the moon.
Oh, man. That's so cool. Well, we're so glad to have you on, Jose, to talk through all of it. Thank you very much on a night like this. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll see you for the next one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We are back in a moment with LeBron, King James, and a new court taking his talents officially to Philly, why he says he's teaming up with the Sixers and whether it's enough to bring a title back to town. Plus, our new reporting on what apparently has been a brawl behind bars, Diddy in solitary, what we're learning. Plus, the firework fail at a minor league ballpark, sparks shooting straight at the stands, sending fans scrambling. We've got more on that just ahead on Top Story. Back now with new details in the case of Nolan Wells, the college athlete found dead in Mississippi. Now the district attorney is speaking publicly as a friend reveals what happened right before Wells disappeared. Here's George Solis.
Nolan's family deserves answers, and our community deserves answers.
Tonight, the district attorney overseeing the investigation in the death of Nolan Wells, speaking out on camera for the first time and defending why her office has said so little.
It is an effort to protect the integrity of this investigation in the grand jury proceeding.
District Attorney Angel Myers-McElrath says Nolan's case will go before a grand jury, which is standard procedure. Nolan Wells was last seen on July 4th after a boat trip to Horn Island with his friends. His body was found 2 days later. A mother of one of the friends Nolan was with saying the group left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
Nolan's friend, Warren Hudson, describing in a recent podcast that Nolan was chatting with a woman when his friend urged him to leave.
Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island.
This week, preliminary results from an independent autopsy ordered by a legal team representing Nolan Wells' family found his cause and manner of death were undetermined. The doctor, however, noting he could not rule out foul play. Meanwhile, almost 3 weeks later, no official cause of death and still no clear answers about what happened to Nolan Wells.
George is joining us now. And George, there have been some calls for calm in the community too, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely right, Hallie, especially given that there's been such a proliferation on social media, even the DA noting that there has been a lot of misinformation. So from all sides, everyone is just asking for some patience while this is still sorted out. Hallie?
George Solis, thank you. Still to come here on Top Story, Tony Romo arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated, what the former NFL star was doing just hours before. Plus, the major move out of Hollywood, that blockbuster deal between Paramount and Warner Brothers now frozen. What it could mean for the merger. But first, Top Story's top moment and the real-life superhero save. You got to watch this one. In Arkansas, look at this. Somebody in a wheelchair was crossing the road. When it gets kind of tricky, you see him, he starts to struggle in the middle of the intersection. Then this guy dressed like Spider-Man comes out to the rescue, running the wheelchair to the other side of the road, right across the crosswalk. So this guy, he's obviously in a costume. He was going to this superhero-themed party just before this event where you dress up. He kept the costume on. Talk about right place at the right time, showing we all have a little hero in us all the time. Stay with us. We've got more Top Story on the way. Back now with the announcement that shocked the sports world today and elated Philadelphians because LeBron James has taken his talents to the Sixers, the four-time NBA champ, hoping to win it all next season with the team. Here's Sam Brock with this one.
Hey, we got Bron! Let's go!
The excitement came in at a fever pitch.
Oh my God!
Philly fans in disbelief.
We got LeBron, baby!
After LeBron James, a four-time NBA champion and basketball legend, picked the Philadelphia 76ers as the last stop in his storied career.
Philly? The Sixers?
The reveal coming after a multi-week wait, with LeBron only offering this teaser before the World Cup final.
I think when you trust the process of actually getting to that point.
But the team who's always said trust the process is now the destination, with LeBron joining a lineup stacked with all-stars and passing on storybook options like his hometown Cavs, Miami Heat, or Steph Curry's Warriors.
LeBron James.
James writing today, "This is my last decision. I'm not going for money. I'm not going for family," adding he picked the Sixers for a chance at the feeling of winning another championship. Philadelphia supercharged at the thought of it, with StubHub saying demand for preseason tickets spiked more than 200% in the hour after the news.
LeBron fans travel with him, so there's going to be a whole new contingent.
As the city of brotherly love is embracing the king with open arms. Sam Brock, NBC News, New York.
You know we're going to talk about this one. You know we're going to talk about the big move. Here's Chris Ryan, editorial director of The Ringer. He covers the NBA. Also, wait, Chris, you're also from Philly. I have to wear. Where are you
from Philly. I'm from Fairmount.
Okay, cool. I grew up in Bucks County, so
Awesome.
I consider myself a Philly person. This is so exciting. So, like, why the Sixers? I mean, LeBron says, I want to win a championship. They already have a pretty good core team, right? Like, is the idea that he's going to build and try to get them to the top?
Yeah, the idea here is that he's the missing piece that they didn't have with just Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid,
Right.
Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and that he is going to provide playmaking and connective tissue between all these guys. But as a Philadelphian, like, I'm still not entirely sure I'm not dreaming today. I mean, this kind of stuff isn't really supposed to happen for this city or this franchise, and it really makes me elated as a sports fan for them.
It is so cool. Do you think, I mean, I assume Philly has shot up the list of, like, best shots to win that. Like, what's the timeline? Do you think they have a real shot at, like, making a deep run into the playoffs this upcoming season?
Yes, I do, because I think even if Joel Embiid gets hurt, which has always been an issue over the last couple of seasons, if LeBron doesn't play the entire season, they have enough good players to basically weather any storm. Now, whether or not that means they could beat a San Antonio or an Oklahoma City or even the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, if it came to that, I think that would be difficult, but it's going to be really, really fun. I mean, you know, they say trust the process. If this is where the process led us, I can't think of very many better destinations.
Your trust falling into it. He said on his post when LeBron announced this, he said, this is my last decision. Do you think it is? I mean, the guy's, he's 41, I think, right? Like, is this it?
There's been some speculation that he could go the Brady route and play for as long as an age of 45. I mean, basketball is a little bit different than football in that if you lose this step, you really start to become it's just really difficult to keep up with today's NBA if you feel like you're losing like that much burst and that much speed. So he's going to be a cerebral player for the Sixers, but I think he can still turn it on athletically. We saw it with the Lakers last year.
Yeah.
And the Sixers fans really deserve it. I was there for the third game of the Knicks series between the Sixers that was in Philadelphia, and the Knicks fans completely invaded the stadium, and it was kind of humiliating. So to have this be kind of where we're starting the season, I think it's pretty awesome. I'm going to definitely call a couple of my Knicks friends and let them know about it.
It was humiliating. It was annoying. Speaking of the Knicks, can you explain this to me? The people, I'm a huge Philly sports fan on the football side. I know, that's basketball. He didn't go to the Knicks because there's been speculation that maybe he'll live in New York. I mean, that commute. I grew up in Yardley, so like New Jersey Transit, taking the Acela, it's easy to get to and from New York to Philly. Maybe he'll live in New York. He wants to do these other things and have other projects, and then kind of commute into Philly, into the city. And I asked somebody earlier, why wouldn't he just go to the Knicks then? It's because the Knicks just won, right? That makes it less appealing. That's what his team has said, or his agent.
Yeah, I think that the Knicks would have been a good decision for him like a decade ago. But I don't think coming and joining them after they've won a ring and have the glory that they have would have made as much narrative sense for LeBron. I don't think it would have provided him with as much of an athletic challenge. Where's
he going to live? What do you think?
Should we get specific? I could see some really nice old city condos on the market right now. I think he'll get a place in Philly and probably have a place in New York. Yeah.
It's super exciting. And then wait, before I let you go, I do want to, like, timeline-wise, because my era for the Sixers was like the Iverson era. How long do you think? Yeah. Okay. So we're the playoff run, all of it. I mean, I was like taking a trip down memory lane. How long do you think he'll end up with the Sixers? I know it's hard to predict. I'm asking you to be completely speculative on this one. But a guy like LeBron James, who he clearly is not doing it for the money. He's got all the money any person can need, right? He's doing it because he wants, as you say, the narrative impact. It sounds like he wants to actually win a championship. How many years are we talking?
I think he fulfills his contract at least. He just never not fulfilled an NBA contract. And I think that his body is, he is in that Tom Brady zone of nobody understands it. Nobody understands how what he puts into his body. And I think he will play at least the 2 seasons.
Can you believe it? Good news for Philly sports fans. What are we doing? It's so exciting.
And it's also such a great time for the city. I was back there during the World Cup. And
Same, yeah.
It's so electrifying in the city right now. I think he's going to enjoy it. I think the city's going to really love him. And, call me when he does the first passive-aggressive tweet about how we need to change up the roster. But for now, I really love it.
1,000%. Or like when the fans start to turn on him maybe a little. We hope not, but you know how it is. Chris, appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. What?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. To Top Stories news feed now, starting with a big pause in that blockbuster bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. Paramount Skydance is now agreeing to freeze the merger for about a year. Okay, this is till next June. It's coming as a federal judge is considering an antitrust lawsuit from a dozen states. They argue this $110 billion deal is illegal and would basically crush competition in Hollywood. And an update on that egg recall we told you about last night. The FDA and the CDC just announcing nearly 100 people have gotten sick from salmonella across 17 states. 26 people have been sent to the hospital, according to health officials, but nobody has died. The recall affected some 19 million eggs sold under several brands and distributed to stores like Kroger, Brookshire Grocery. If you've got it, you can check the code online. You're being urged to toss the eggs or else bring them back and you'll get your money back. And football analyst and former NFL star Tony Romo has been arrested. Here's his mugshot, booked last night on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. Officials say he performed badly on field sobriety tests, according to a police report, after they pulled him over in Milwaukee. It happened just hours after he wrapped up an interview, golf course interview with our NBC affiliate there. Romo has been released and is due back in court in a couple of months. It's not clear if he has an attorney. And a big league mess up at a fireworks show at a minor league baseball game in Virginia. Take a look at this. Everything seemed to be fine, but then fireworks started shooting across the field, going straight toward the stands. Fans were scrambling to get out of the way. You hate to see that happening. Fireworks company tells our NBC station there they had a kind of malfunction. Clearly, we don't know what caused it. Fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt, according to team officials. That's the good news. Dramatic moments behind bars now for Diddy. NBC News learning that Sean Combs, of course, he's serving time in federal prison right now, was sent to solitary confinement after he got into a fight, basically. Chloe Malas has this one. She's joining us now. Chloe, talk us through what happened here. What do we know?
Hey there, Hallie. There aren't too many details, but a source familiar with the situation says that earlier this week, Sean Diddy Combs got into an altercation with another inmate at Fort Dix, the federal penitentiary where he is behind bars serving his 50-month sentence. We don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that he was placed in solitary confinement. The Bureau of Prisons is not commenting on exactly what is going on right now, but this is very serious considering that Combs has been trying to get out of prison. You know, he's been doing everything, teaching classes at Fort Dix, doing all sorts of community service because he's trying to reduce the sentence. And I did speak to a really well-known prison consultant who actually works with Luigi Mangione and others to talk about the gravity of being in something called the SHU.
You're going to be there at least 20 to 30 days while they go through the disciplinary committee, they go through a hearing. So you're sitting there without any idea of what the result could be. And the results could be, you know, more time in the SHU. It could be up to 30, 60, 90. People spend 120 days in the SHU. And it could be a recommendation or a decision of loss of good time, which means that whatever day an individual is supposed to be released is going to be pushed back.
So you heard from Craig that this is very serious and could be detrimental to Combs trying to get out of prison earlier, reducing that sentence that he has been working on for the last several months. Hallie?
It's just the details of this are super interesting here. What about what's next for Diddy here? Because I think his team, right, they want a pardon from President Trump. They would love to get that from the administration. He's appealed his conviction. He obviously does not want to be behind bars. Where does this one go?
So when it comes to the appeal, that's something that they did in April. So we are expecting a decision from the judge to come at any moment. And when it comes to this pardon, President Trump himself said many months ago that he received a letter written by Combs addressed to him, basically begging for leniency and just pleading for this clemency, this pardon. So, you know, Trump was expected to give out many pardons recently, and he only gave out 11. And Combs was obviously not one of those. But I did reach out to his team earlier today who had no comment on the incident that happened at Fort Dix with Combs and this other inmate. And they had nothing to say as to where things stand with this pardon. I mean, look, Combs doesn't have that much more time behind bars, Hallie. It's about a little over a year left. Yeah. And if he plays his cards right, it could be less time. But something like this, whatever exactly happened earlier this week at Fort Dix, it could really, really impact him in a negative way in terms of him trying to get out of prison earlier than expected.
Chloe Malas. Chloe, thank you very much. Appreciate that reporting. Let's take you overseas now, where violent and intense wildfires are ripping through Spain and France, with flames bearing down on one enclave known as the French Hamptons. All of it forcing tens of thousands of people to have to evacuate. Firefighters are up against these really dangerous conditions. You know, it's been very hot here. It's unrelenting. That's making this thing tough. Here's Raf Sanchez with the dramatic video.
Tonight, two major wildfires ripping through southern France, forcing thousands of tourists and residents to evacuate, some of them fleeing by boat. The flames bearing down on the exclusive peninsula of Cap Ferret, sometimes known as the French Hamptons. The popular vacation spot now the scene of desperate street battles as fire crews try to stop the blaze. The camera rolling as a gas canister explodes behind this reporter from France's M6 channel, injuring a firefighter. A nearby riding school releasing its horses, allowing them to run free to escape the flames. It's totally apocalyptic, this woman says. It's really right at our doorstep. Firefighting aircraft from across Europe scrambled to help in both France and neighboring Spain, where authorities say the Madrid region is facing the worst wildfires in its history, calling it a perfect storm of extreme temperatures and relentless wind. Raf Sanchez, NBC News.
Coming up on Top Story, the new health alert tonight. Measles cases across the country hitting the highest levels we've seen in decades. So what's driving that spike? Plus, our great American this week, Rick Steves, how traveling the world changed his life and inspired him to teach others about the lessons he learned along the way. Stay with us. Back now with Top Story's health check and the spike in measles cases across the country. The CDC is now reporting that we're seeing a 35-year high in the number of cases. That's already more than we've seen last year. And now new outbreaks are popping up in multiple states, including Arizona, Delaware, and Wyoming. For more on this, I want to bring in Dr. Akshay Sayal, of course, our NBC News medical reporter. All right, Dr. Akshay, talk us through it here. 93% of the people who are getting measles don't have a vaccination, or they haven't at least said what their vaccination status is. Is it your assessment, is it health experts' assessment that that's what's really driving this outbreak?
Yeah, Hallie, that's exactly it. And, you know, we have data now to sort of back up what doctors and health officials have seen on the front lines. People just aren't that as enthusiastic about getting vaccinated as they used to be. And a lot, you know, we started to see this after COVID-19, Hallie, where people sort of started to question vaccines, especially, you know, in our doctor's appointments. People aren't exactly sure if they need them anymore. And that's what you're seeing here with the measles spread. You know, this is a very contagious illness, Hallie. About, you know, one infected person could spread this up to 18 people. If we can pull that graph back up on the screen, you can see the difference between 2024 going all the way up to this year. I mean, that is just how contagious this thing is. Those little pockets of lack of vaccination can really, really explode and take hold in the whole country. And Hallie, we need that number to get back up to 95%, that herd immunity that we all talked about during the pandemic. That is really the sweet spot for getting this virus under control.
Okay, we're watching that. We're also watching something else unrelated to this, which is this FDA panel that's been looking at peptides. Everybody's got a take on a peptide, right? They're super popular these days. But there's things that people should know about like how effective they actually are, right?
So there's the safe and effective peptides, like things like insulin and GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic. And then there's what we're talking about today, which is the wild, wild west of unregulated peptides that the FDA has assembled an advisory committee to vote on. And, you know, there's 7 peptides they're looking at, some of them including BPC 157, TB 500, KPV, MOTC. You know, these are all the chemical compounds that people are ordering off of the internet for research purposes. I've had several patients ask me about this all the time. This is probably the most common thing patients are asking me now.
Interesting.
It is, Hallie, and it's really important for people to know these aren't FDA approved. There are no randomized controlled trials. It is very much a risky thing to do right now. So this FDA committee is sort of advising the FDA on whether or not to allow compounding pharmacies to make them. All but one of them did get recommended, Hallie, tonight.
To your point, like, people can get them, like you can just buy them. When we look at the recommendations here, though, they voted against recommending a peptide that's supposed to help with sleep, right? Is there something specifically different about that one?
So the argument was, the argument in general for this, Hallie, is that, they're essentially saying that it's safer to get them through compounded pharmacy than getting them from some website from another country where you don't really know what you're getting. There is some merit to that. But then, there is also the merit to the fact that these compounds themselves aren't really tested in randomized controlled trials with human beings. And so, yes, it is true that part will sort of be taken care of. But the larger aspect here, where patients are taking these unapproved compounds, could lead to side effects like injection site reactions, could lead to potentially tumor growth, a whole host of things that we worry about. That's why patients really need to stay away from these right now.
Dr. Akshay Sel, we're so glad to have you. Thank you for breaking it down for us. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Turning now to our series, Great Americans, where we talk with those who have achieved so much and inspired so many. Tonight, the man who's inspired millions to travel abroad talks to us about why he always loves returning home to America. His new book, On the Hippie Trail, is a New York Times bestseller. Our Great American tonight, travel writer Rick Steves. Here's Tom.
The ideals of America. That's what I love about our country. And that we live in a society that is smart, brave, and free enough to set a high bar for these ideals.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves, enjoying more of the best of Europe.
For nearly half a century, Rick Steves has made it his mission to teach Americans how to travel.
This Yankee commoner is going to give it a try.
Very good.
His European expertise, now an empire here in America, with 70 guidebooks, 13 seasons of a television show, and a legion of fans.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Rick. Oh my gosh, we love you so much.
But behind the comfortable shoes and practical travel tips are an appreciation for simple, everyday experiences, values born in the Pacific Northwest, where Steves grew up.
That's where I caught my first salmon with my dad out there in his little boat.
His wanderlust started as a teenager after a trip with his parents.
I spent my summers in Europe on a very tight budget. I thought, hey, I could package the lessons I've learned from my travels, and then other people could learn from my mistakes rather than their own and have a better trip.
He self-published his first guide in 1980, Europe Through the Back Door, now in its 40th edition.
A back door is a place where you can connect with the culture when it is at ease, not cliches on stage surrounded by a bunch of tourists.
Now, 34,000 Americans join his company's tours every year, embracing Steve's push to step outside their comfort zones.
Culture shock is a constructive thing. It's the growing pains of a broadening perspective. That's the mission right now, is to help Americans travel in a way where they come home with the very best souvenir. And that's a joy, a realization that the world is filled with love. It's filled with wonderful people.
At 71, Steve still does his own research, spending 2 months every year in Europe updating his guides. But he always comes back to Edmonds, Washington, just outside of Seattle.
I could live anywhere, but I choose to live here. I think it's because of the ideals of America.
It's here that he employs more than 100 locals at Rick Steves Europe headquarters.
Because everybody wants to go on that road.
Everyone just says that and goes out and back.
He's also spent millions helping build 2 senior centers and saving a hygiene facility for the homeless.
Now 800 people who happen to be homeless in the south end of my county know that they've got a shower and a place to wash their clothes.
Steve says it's about encouraging the values he believes set America apart.
Until next time, keep on traveling.
And now his life's work focuses on giving Americans the tools to grow through travel.
Travel makes us both better citizens of the planet and, frankly, better Americans. I really believe you learn a lot about your own home by leaving it and looking at it from a distance.
That does it for us for Top Story. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here soon.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.